Ladies and gentlemen, grab a cup of coffee. This might be a little bit of a longer video because we got a lot to do today. We're going to look at the month of January of 2025. We're going to see how much I have made in premium selling options in January. And before we get started, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. That way you don't miss any update videos in the future. And if you want to look at some previous content and wonder what was I making a year ago, here we go. We got Tattooed Chef and SoFi and a Chase Sapphire preferred credit card. In terms of the end of last week, I haven't made a video since Thursday, and one of the trades that I was talking about was an Nvidia put. And what I did was I initially sold a put on Nvidia at 116. Nvidia then recovered the next day, and I made another video talking about how I want to plan to roll up that position. So I did, and then Nvidia went back down in Nvidia fashion, in my investing fashion. So I ended up rolling that put out into next week. So it has a strike price of 118 now and a new expiration date of 2/7. Just to kind of recap you guys on that trade. In terms of all last month, we're going to hop over to my spreadsheet. And if you're interested in purchasing the spreadsheet for yourself to use, if you want to use it to track all of the options that you sell and help out the channel, I have it linked down below. And on the far right here, we can see how much I've made in total monthly return in terms of premium from selling the options and maybe a little capital appreciation. Though I don't think there's much capital appreciation. There's one right here, and that's it from, I think this was MSTU. Yeah. So basically most of this $3,354 that I made last month was strictly from premium. And this has been kind of consistent. If we go back to December, which I started using this new spreadsheet in December, I had an older spreadsheet that was a lot uglier. This is only part of December. The total return was 1,000. I think there was another 1,500 in the other half of December. And I always said my goal with my Robinhood portfolio and the selling options portion is if I could make an extra $2,000 or more, that would be great. And I've definitely crushed it this month. And if you're at the point of this video and you're wondering what selling options even is and you want to learn the basics, I have created a course. It's a whole hour of me going over what selling a put and selling a call and different components of those things and some different strategies, such as the wheel strategy and what delta is and all that good stuff. For a limited time, it's 25% off. It'll be in the description if you want to check that out as well. And this is something I do, and I've been doing it for the last 6 months or so, just making some extra income. And I've been documenting everything on here. The course is just like, I call it like supplemental knowledge because it has all the basics so you can understand what I'm saying, I guess, in these YouTube videos if you don't know already. And if I were to guess without looking at it and cheating, I would say that SoFi stock is probably the stock that I've gotten the most premium from. And we can check that out and see if that's true by changing the view here and grouping things by stock ticker. We can see I had one trade on Celsius. I had 4 trades on Chipotle, which is still open because I had to roll 2 post earnings. This one right here, the $58 one, which is very close to being in the money currently. So total from Chipotle, $255. If I use this to buy Chipotle, that's about 25 bowls right there. So that's pretty cool. Kind of a side tangent, but I think it's cool to take the premium of selling options on a particular company and then using that premium on their product. I don't know. I don't know what it is. You know, it's just, to me, it's like I'm getting free Chipotle from like company stock. I have 2 trades on Ford, $17 total there. Hims was another big one I sold a lot of puts on in January. We can see $387 in Hims. MSTU, very risky, very high reward, $780, which actually might surpass SoFi. We'll see. So this is the current winner right now. Nvidia, $573, and then SoFi, $840. So this is number one. And I did sell a lot of puts and also some calls right before earnings. I had 10 open puts at the time, which was very risky, but it ended up going in my favor, thankfully. And then lastly, the SPY. I've been trading the wheel on the SPY, $485. Mostly, well, all of them have been me selling calls on the SPY. Because in the month of December, I was selling puts on the SPY. I was assigned 100 shares of the SPY at $605 a piece, and then I was kind of playing around with selling a call lower than my acquired price, but then hopefully farther enough that if it got close to it, I could just roll it at a higher price the next day or next couple days. And so far that's been working out in my favor. And this one we can mark with no because this wasn't assigned last Friday. So something I did this last time, except I just focused on SoFi, how much I made in premium. And then someone asked what delta I look at when I sell puts. And the truth of the matter is I don't typically look at delta that much. Maybe occasionally, and maybe subconsciously I do, but it really all depends on the situation because it's like, do I actually want to acquire the shares or I'm really just trading these strictly for the income? Now, if you sell puts, it's best practice that if you sell them, you want to sell them on a company that you don't mind acquiring those shares. So really, it should be in the back of your mind that, yeah, I'm trading these to potentially own them. But as you can see, a lot of the time they expire worthless and I just keep the premium. So maybe something like SoFi, and I don't mind actually acquiring those shares, or I have the money to acquire those shares right away, I'll go with potentially a higher delta and make more premium. And then on the flip side, if it's a company that maybe I don't want to own as bad, like MSTU, because it's highly leveraged, it might be a little more risky. Maybe I'll look at a lower delta, like a 0.15. And on a SoFi, maybe like a 0.3 or maybe 0.35. So really, it just all depends. It's not like I just follow one rule for all of the companies across the board and say this is the delta I'm going to follow, because it really just comes down to what's the underlying company and am I pretty bullish on this company, or am I semi-bullish, or am I really just doing it for income? And then something else that was brought up in, I think it was my last video. Someone said, and it's probably true, I'm not denying that fact, but they would say I'd probably be making more money if I just acquired the underlying shares and then start selling calls and then sell them, and basically just doing the wheel on a lot of these. And the fact of the matter is, on SoFi, a lot of these puts that I sell, I use margin to be my collateral. And yes, there's inherent risk with that, but the positive of that is I don't pay any interest on that margin until those shares are assigned and I have to buy those shares. So if I don't have enough money for, let's say, Nvidia to buy 100 shares of Nvidia, I'll just use margin as my collateral and continue to roll to avoid using margin because I don't want to pay the interest. And meanwhile, the other money that I have in other stocks can stay in those other stocks, and those stocks can perform as they do and won't be affected until I either have to buy the shares or expires worthless. So yes, in theory, I probably could make a lot more money if I just trade the wheel on stocks like Nvidia, but that would require me to liquidate a lot of my shares to pick up those 100 shares. And really, I'm just kind of like using the house's money for now on some of these trades. Not all of them. Some of them I do have the money to purchase the underlying asset. But that's just something to keep in mind. So once again, that's how much I made in the month of January. This might change a little bit if I have to buy to close any of these ones that I sold at the latter part of the month. But I would say, it would still be above $3,000 for the month, even if I did have to buy to close some of these. So if you like the spreadsheet, or you want to go check out my course because you're new to options, you don't really understand them fully, go check those out in the description. Really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great start to your week.